Sempel, Gavin.
How are we?
I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm alright.
So what were you saying? You had a. This is a very good comedian, by the way, and a friend of mine, and he lives in Gippsland,
Yeah, Warrigal.
Warrigal.
Good old.
Is that Gippsland?
Yeah, it's like southeast. It's like
2.5 hours,
yeah,
and you come in for gigs and you go home
No.
by coach.
catch the V-line, coach home, and then rinse, wash, repeat.
Dedicated. Have you ever thought of driving?
I haven't got my license.
Why don't you get your license?
Yeah, I never needed it because like
Well,
when
now
I
you
was,
fucking do.
Yeah, now I do. But like when I was in high school, I worked the next town over, and I played footy locally. And school, there's a bus, so I never drove anywhere. And then when I finished high school, I caught the train to Clayton, and then went to uni at Clayton, Monash. So I never drove. And then I moved into the city before lockdown, before COVID, and then it was like a tram stop 3 minutes on either side of my house. So now I'm like, fuck, I need to drive. So
Yeah. Were you more buff when you played footy, or skinnier?
no, actually,
Were you a good footy player?
I played Aussie rules for like 4 years,
Yeah.
and
You strike me as someone that would either get destroyed or be fast
No,
enough
I played
to
on-
worm his
I-
way out of
I
it.
played like half forward flank, more on the wings. Like I was that guy that they'd try and get it out to, and I just take it down to the forward line.
And how did that work out? Did that work, or were you?
Yeah, I just use my speed because if I run, I'm not going to get tackled.
So you're fast.
Yeah. So I used to just be that guy who would just get the ball and just leg it.
Fuck. You look so fragile for football. You know.
Yeah. There's a
Like
funny
if you were
photo.
my son, I'd be terrified.
I'll find the photo for you. There's a photo under 18s training, and
Fuck.
I'm sitting. We're doing like it's like I can't remember what the exercise is. 'Cause I wasn't paying attention, but we were doing like some sort of thing with the ball and like a group like partners. And,
Yeah. So you lock legs and you do sit-ups by tossing a medicine ball back
Yeah,
and
yeah.
forth. Yeah.
but the thing is, the guy next to me, his name Daniel Helmore. He was like the star player at Bunyip. And he's sitting next to me, and you can see the size of his arms compared to the size of mine. And like mine are fucking tiny, and then this guy is younger than me, and he's just got weapons, and he's just like smashing, and I'm just slowly doing with the medicine ball, and it's so funny. But yeah, I gained when I played rugby league out of high school.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Why'd you play vicious? Why did you do that to your body?
I don't know. I just wanted to play. I wanted to give it a go, and then, but the thing is, because I'm 56 kilos now, when I played.
Fuck.
Yeah, but when I played,
Shit.
I got to like 65, 67 between there, and I stayed there for like the whole season. But then once I stopped playing, and I wasn't exercising or work, like, because the coach, he would make us like, because he's a concreter, so he would bring his concreting stuff for training, and we'd have to use that. We'd have to like run with the bricks
Yeah.
and all that shit. And so
That guy watched Rocky.
yeah. And so I put on weight, but then as soon as I stopped playing, at the end of the season, I just dropped back to...
Can you put on weight, or is it too hard? Because you're like,
Yeah, but I have to like
are you
constantly...
underweight at the moment?
Yeah,
Yeah, you are.
yeah. But I have to constantly be working out non-stop. Like,
Do
I
ya?
have to be running, I'd have to be lifting weights. Otherwise, if I stop, it just burns
Really?
it away straight
Your
away.
metabolism is
Yeah,
just
my
too fast.
just eats it.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
24. Has the doctor said anything to you about like you should be eating more protein or?
I mean, recently, so when I had COVID, I dropped down to 49.
Fuck, that's POW weight division.
Yeah. I dropped to 49 because I had long COVID. So for 12 days,
You had
long COVID.
Long-
So where you have symptoms after the 7 days.
right.
And so I had symptoms for 12 days, and I didn't eat like for like 4 or 5 days straight. I was just all I was doing was just drinking like Gatorade or whatever just to keep my fluids up.
Yeah, sure.
And then I didn't eat anything. Like my housemates were like, "You haven't come out for dinner," and I was like, "I don't want to eat. I feel sick."
Mm.
And then I dropped down to 49, and I noticed it in my face, like looking in the mirror when I was brushing my teeth. I could see like my cheekbones more, and I went to the doctors, and they weighed me, and then they checked my height, whatever, and they said your BMI is now officially like medically underweight. It's like 13.9 or something like that. It's like real bad.
Yeah.
They're like, because I'm 178 centimeter, so I'm
Yeah.
5'10", and
Does that manifest itself in a certain way? Like are you lethargic? Do you forget? Are you forgetful, or you're just fine? You're operating fine. You seem fine on stage.
Yeah,
So is your underweight issue a problem?
I noticed after I came back from COVID, and a couple of comics like Jeremy Dooley,
Yeah.
he came up to me after I was emceeing Lantern, my club, and he came up to me afterwards. He's like, I was about to walk on stage and like catch you. He thought that I had no energy left. So like,
Is this after a 5-minute spot?
yeah, and so like for like 2 weeks I had no energy, and even like Husey at Kings was like, "Are you okay? Normally, you're energetic," and he's like, "I'm gonna have to put you later in the show because you have no energy." I was like, "Come on, Husey, I had COVID."
At least he's caring for you.
Yeah, he's like, just to keep you safe.
Yeah.
I'll put you on in the middle.
Yeah. So you live out Gippsland Way, and you were telling me before we recorded this pod that you travel all the time up there and back, and if you miss a coach, you have to sort of hang out in the city.
So if I on a weeknight, if you miss the midnight coach,
is that the last one?
That's the last one. Then you have to wait till 6. And on a weekend, if I miss the 2 a.m., which I did on the weekend, I had to wait till 7:50.
Fuck.
And yeah,
what do you do to chew the clock?
I just bought Chinese, ate that, and then...
That's half hour, though, for you.
Yeah, and didn't even eat all of it.
Of course not.
Just put it in my bag.
You got to keep up that weight.
And then I watched just a fight for 20 minutes out the front of Crown. Just...
Oh, a proper...
There was like nine blokes all in it, and I was like, I'm going to sit there and watch this.
Was it proper all in or
proper all in?
Pigeon breasting?
Because as I walked out of Crown, I just heard like one of them go, "I didn't even say anything, bro." And then all of a sudden, like he got jumped, and then I kept walking, but then I seen like these 2 girls. So obviously what happened is he said something to the girls said something to their partners. The partners defended him. But the girls were like, "Yeah, get him. I was like, well, now if they're instigating it, I need to watch this. This is going to be entertaining. And then there was like a 5-foot dude just swinging, and I was like, "This is great. This is keeping me awake at 5 a.m."
Was there any method to the fighting, or was it just windmills and
it was just windmills,
craziness?
It was just windmills and just
alcohol fueled punch on.
Blokes just had too much at Crown, and they're just like, "I'm gonna fight."
Does that make you want to pull up a good seat and enjoy?
Yeah, I did. I sat down straight away. I sat down on one of the grass-plated seats they have outside the Crown. I was like, I'm just going to watch this.
How'd the fight play out? Was it broken up, or did someone get dropped?
Yeah, eventually, one of them threatening to jump in the Yarra to prove his point that he didn't say anything to the woman. He's like, I swear to God, I never said anything. I'll jump in the Yarra.
Hang on, he said swear to God twice?
Yeah.
We're talking about a wog here?
It was wog.
Yeah. Because I swear to God, I swear to God,
yeah,
I swear to God.
He was. Like, he's like, 80 thick, bro, I swear.
Oh, we're doing Lebos too. Fuck.
But he's like,
definitely windmill punches.
Yeah, and
Lebos
he's like, I'll jump in this Yarra, bro. I swear. I'll jump in the Yarra. I swear, I never said anything.
So that's how he was going to prove it?
Yeah. And then they were like, do it. You know what I mean? Like, we want to knock you out. You think jumping in the Yarra is going to be a threat? Like, do it. You know, like...
The Yarra water would kill him.
Yeah.
He'd be fucked.
He'd die in the Yarra.
Or he'd mutate into a super Lebo.
And then just come out with like 4 arms and just start... He's got 4 times the windmill and he's just taking them all out.
Just power up.
But it was insane. I was just watching this fight. And then it only lasted about 15, 20. I was like, well, now I've got 2 hours and 25 minutes before.
Yeah.
It was fun. There's 8 cold Chinese at Southern Cross.
What's stopping you from moving back into Melbourne? Because you're here every night doing gigs pretty much when you can.
The plan was before the fest, because fuck, it's going to be crazy doing the fest out to like doing like the bear pit, and then I'm fucking like, well, now what am I going to do? But then my dad, his cancer came back. So when his cancer came back, we all just like kind of paused what everyone was doing. And so like, yeah, I was like, well, I'm not going to move back, because like since then, like every now and then he's like, Gavin, I need you to pick up like Heidi from school. And I was like, yeah, right, I can do that. Right,
because he's going through chemo.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's exhausted. And
yeah, so he's working still.
Is he working?
Yeah.
Fuck.
He's a truck driver, so he's still working, but then he's also he's going through his appointments. And so I was like, I'll stay in Warragul, help him out.
So it's a no question for you. Like, you're more than happy to be there for your dad and help him out.
Yeah, because all my older brothers moved out.
Okay, so who's living with your dad now?
My little sisters.
Your 2 little sisters?
So my 3 little sisters and my dad's partner.
Okay.
And I live 10 minutes down the road, 10-minute drive. So
Yeah. Okay.
happily.
So you're there for your dad.
Yeah.
How's he going at the moment? Because he beat cancer the first time.
He's beat it twice.
So this is the 3rd time.
So he had melanoma.
Is that a skin cancer?
Yeah, because he's an 80s boy, so like
Yeah.
he's completely tanned, and I was like, that's gonna come back, and then it did come back to bite him. But then, so he had melanoma in like 2017. He beat that. Then he got emphysema in 2019, beat that, and then his melanoma came back this year, and then now he's beaten that. He'll beat it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, how
Yeah.
do you feel personally? Like, do you feel like, yeah, he'll beat it, he's going
Yeah,
all right?
no,
Or,
he's going fine. His appointments have been going well.
and the doctors are optimistic as
yeah,
well.
the doctors.
So that keeps him in good spirits, right? Like,
Yeah,
he's
although
not-
he's going on a spending spree, so it's like, oh god.
yeah. Well, fuck.
He bought a second car. He bought a second Harley. He's taking my sisters on ski trips.
Does
I
he
was like-
overplay it? Like, does he go, oh, Gavin, I'm fucked, I need ciggies. Oh, I can't
No, he
move,"
doesn't smoke.
Or
but-
whatever, like
but-
food or...
But no, he doesn't. He I think at
he
the
doesn't
moment,
overplay it.
nah, his mindset now is like, while he's going through the treatment, anything could happen. You know, like the treatment could not work. It could get worse. He could find out in a month that it's spread. So now he's just like, I'm just going to take my daughters out every weekend.
That's fucking great.
Yeah, he takes them to holidays every weekend.
Has he had a deep and meaningful with you, one-on-one? Like, if anything happens, like,
Nah.
you're the man?
He called
Like-
me and then he just said like it's come back. It's stage 3. He wasn't. At first he wasn't optimistic, but then all of us like, well, you beat it before, you know. Like,
What does stage 3 mean? Like, is that, like, pretty bad? Is that what
well, stage 4 is like
you're fucked?
you're dead.
Oh, you're dead?
You will die from that.
So stage
Unless
4 is
a
a matter
miracle.
of time.
Yeah, stage 4 is like terminal.
Shit, so stage
So
3 is
stage
pretty
3,
full on,
yeah,
man.
stage 3 it's pretty scary. So like, if he didn't find it early, then it could have gone up a stage. So that kind of freaked him out. But then all of us were like, I mean, you've beat cancer twice. Like, if you can beat it again, if anyone can beat it again, it's you. And then the guy's one tough son of a bitch. Like, cancer's not going to take him down. So,
What makes him tough in your eyes? Like, just his upbringing, or just
well, yeah, he's just
his
this.
health?
He's
A number of factors.
he's always been like, his whole upbringing. Like, my dad was like, he was raised like in and out of like what's those not juvie, but like foster for like boys, like
orphanage or
no, it wasn't orphanage. It's like his parents would just send him there. 'Cause, like,
boarding school.
boarding school, yeah. So like,
Right. So
so,
they
like-
handballed him away.
so yeah, he's my nan was like always like not caring. It's like not me, my dad and his like 4 brothers would either be like in and out of juvie or a boarding school, or my granddad, they'd come down to Victoria from Claymore, New South Wales to Victoria. But even then, my granddad was working like every day, and it's like he was like, I can't look after them, and then so they would just be in and out of juvie, and then like he ended up as an adult, he got his black belt pretty early. He got 2 black belts and then became a security guard and then worked in the force. And then he was this tough son of a bitch.
Was he a copper?
Yeah, well, he actually trained the canine. He was a canine unit trainer, and then he worked in security at the same time. And then
How does he get him addicted to drugs?
it
How does he do that?
just puts it a little bit on the end of the finger.
Does he rack up lines for him? Yeah. No? And then just fucking gives him
Yeah, that's a
withdrawal?
good point.
How does he do it?
Like, he's just
Ask him for me.
giving everyone these German Shepherds a blow.
How do they get him so riled up over coke
Hmm.
and marijuana at airports? They seem
Yeah.
bonkers. But so he did all that.
Yeah.
So that's toughened him up along the way. There
Yeah.
wasn't that affection, that role model for him to look up to, so he had to create his
Yeah.
own role model himself.
Well, my dad, I mean, he was a half German, half Aboriginal man in the 70s. So, like, he was always going to cop it in school, like, and then growing up and then trying to get a job and whatever. So then, yeah, he just learnt from his old man.
Is he 50% Aboriginal.
Yeah.
How the fuck did he get melanoma then? That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a wog and I'm like, nah, I don't get skin cancer in Greece. Greeks don't get it.
Nah.
Shit, that's
usually
scary.
usually just born tanned. Like.
Yeah,
Whereas,
but that's why I'm like, with Aboriginal genes, he's a shoo-in.
Well, he's still got that 50% white, so
yeah, right.
he just got unlucky.
Fuck. So, so your dad was your role model?
Yeah, growing up, he was. Because my mum was never around. So, like, my mum was like a massive alcoholic, and she took drugs. And, I mean, we never knew, like, what, but you could tell.
Growing up as a kid. She was derailed or unhinged, rather.
Yeah, well, my dad...
but you couldn't work it out.
Yeah, well, I remember, like, it'd be, like, on a New Year's party, and I'd walk out the backyard, and I'd see her, like, getting, like, a small bag off, like, a guy who I knew was the dealer. That, like, the local area.
And it wasn't mixed lollies.
Yeah. It's like,
they came in
can I have those gummies?
School.
Like, why are you getting gummies and not me? And, but yeah, and then she would just, like, Dad would be working 3 jobs. And be like, why is he working? He'd like, work at Primo in the freezers.
Yeah.
From, like, 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. And then he'd get up at, like, 6, and then he'd, work his business.
2 hours?
Yeah, he'd have 2 hours sleep, and then he'd work his business. And
What's his business?
Well, he was running a hobby shop with my uncle.
What hobbies?
They were like petrol cars, RC planes, and all that. And then so he'd run that, and then he'd just work like freelance jobs, just to try and pay money or get money.
And all this while, your mum was at home.
Well, mum was just sitting at home drinking, just on whatever she could, and then.
Looking back now, do you sort of freak out why your dad didn't break up with her a lot sooner?
Well, Dad was the thing about Dad was a victim of domestic violence for like a long period of time. But when you have 6 kids, all under the age of like 16, he's like, I can't just they separated like twice, and both times like it was hard because like the first time it was like me and my brother Justin went with Dad. And then my brother Nathan and my 2 other sisters went with Mum. But then they got back together for the family. And then they split up again. And then they got back together for the family. And then in 2018, Mum walked. That's when she left. She walked out on him. And he just raised us all by himself.
And your mum never came back?
Funny enough, my mum, she left. And she walked out on Dad. And then we found out like a week later she was living at her friend's place down the road.
Wow.
And then Dad moved to Druin, from Bunyip to Druin, and he was there for like 4 months. We didn't know we never heard from Mum. And then we found out she moved into her friend's place in Druin, which was down the road from Dad's again. So like, and somehow she knew where Dad was, and she was keeping an eye of like my little sisters, but never actually bothered to come and visit them.
Sister, looking back now, do you realize, fuck, Mum had her demons, man. She was on drugs.
Like, yeah, or my mum.
Like, how is your relationship now with her? Has she come back?
She's fine now.
Is she making an effort?
Yeah, she got,
Or is that because you were on TV?
Funny enough, I remember after I did AGT, Mum never really contacted us, and then I did that, and then I got a text from her, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're on TV, that's amazing." And I was like, "That's cool, where were you on my birthday?" You know, like,
I'm rich, bitch.
Yeah. And, but yeah, I mean, the last year or two, she kind of got back into contact. She got her own place, she started getting clean and all that, and then she doesn't really drink as well. She started working, so like, but then she was still like trying to take Dad down for money. She found out Dad is loaded, and so then I used to always say like we knew Dad was loaded because Mum got back into contact with him, and that's the only reason. If Dad wasn't rich, she would never have like got back into contact. And then so she's fine now. We talk, but the thing is, only like me and one of my brothers talk to her. Like my other brother.
How's she doing? Is she straightened up a lot?
Yeah, I mean we visit her for Christmas, and
that's
she's
good.
She's good.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, you can never forget.
But
so,
can
like,
you forgive? Like,
Yeah.
Are you at that place now?
Well,
because that's pretty wise of you. Like, if you can never forget.
Yeah,
But if you forgive,
we did forgive her to an extent. I mean, you can't forgive not being able to go to a school excursion because she spent money on drugs, and your friends come over to visit you, and they're watching her punch your dad in the back of the head.
Fuck.
And then you have to go to school, and they're like, "This guy's dad, gets the shit." And then your dad's picking you up from school, and then all the other parents are looking at your dad like he's the weak one, and then their kids are giving us shit, knowing that our dad won't defend us, and it's all while mum's sitting at home drinking. It's like you can't forgive those sort of stuff, but then again, you just got to realize she had a bad upbringing. She was, in and out of being kicked out of home.
And credit to your dad, he's rock solid, eh?
Yeah, he's one fucking
solid man.
Tough son of a bitch. He, no matter what, he
played
always
it right and smart.
Well, he's like, I'm only here for my kids, and that's it. He's like, he'd always get we'd watch him just absolutely cop it from mum, and then he would just be like, I know she's drunk.
So these early memories, like that, what you just described now, these early memories, is this going back to when you were 14, 15?
Like 11.
11.
12, yeah. So we were living in Housing Commission in Sydney, and I remember, one of the first memories, I would have been 11, and we were living in like a 2-bedroom Housing Commission flat, and I remember my mum, I was just upstairs, just in my room, and then I remember hearing my mum scream. I was, what the hell? And I ran downstairs, but it was her. My dad had thrown her out the front door and said, you need to calm down. And then she kicked the door down. And then, oh, this isn't good. And then my dad dragged her outside, away from the kids, closed the door, locked the door. And then we ran up to the top of the stairs and were just watching out the window as my dad was just trying to keep his distance. And she's just throwing everything at him. The cops came, everything. And then that was I was 12. And then just got worse and worse and worse. And then eventually Dad kicked her out. So, but yeah, you learn to realize that, my mum's she's got bipolar. She's also got schizophrenia. So you mix that with alcohol and drugs isn't a good thing. But then now you realize as an adult, she had her own issues. And then she's made up for most of them. But
I think what you're saying is so fucking intelligent and wise, man. It's the correct answer. You don't know, she's got her demons. She had her demons, and she's overcome them now, I hope. And she's on the right path. And it's a lot wiser than just going, she was a fucking bitch, I don't want to talk about
my
her.
brother,
you've processed
my older brother
thing.
doesn't talk to her. He'll call her Lisa on Christmas and whatever. She'd come over, or we'd go over there, and she'd give us presents, and mainly our little sisters. For us, it's just gift cards, whatever. Just go some money, just go buy whatever you want. And he'd be like, "Thanks, Lisa." And I was like, "Dude, show some respect, dude. She's obviously, 4 years ago, she wouldn't have given you a Christmas present. She would have been in bed on Christmas."
Yeah, absolutely.
And
but at the end of the day, your brother's going to behave the way your brother's going to behave.
Yeah, of course.
You can't own that responsibility. At least I think that's how I would have tried to play it, as wise as you. If I could be as smart as you in that situation.
I think if I was to ever go down that track, and I was to go on drugs, spend all my money on drugs and alcohol and whatever, and if I was to then try and be better, and if my family were to push me to the curb, you wouldn't like that, So if someone's trying to be better, why would you kick them down, So, but yeah, she's slowly getting there, and then.
So so you described before a situation, 11 years old, 12 years old, all this shit was happening in the home. How did humour start? When did humour start coming into your life in terms of finding funny situations, making people laugh? For me, it was through a lack of having any parents at home. They were always working in a factory. So I was all alone, so I created my own entertainment, and when I had the neighbours' kids, I would try and make them laugh just to get some, hey, I'm over here.
Yeah.
I'm alive. Someone give me some attention.
Yeah.
So how did humour manifest itself in your life at that age, or when did it start coming in?
Well, me and my brothers,
Were they older?
Yeah.
Were you getting, did you always try and one-up them because they were older? You had to step up a bit more? Because my brother used to bash me if I didn't get to the joke quickly enough.
Oh, my brothers just bashed me because they had to. But I was the runt of the family. Like,
How did you get bashed? Was it a corker or a cupcake or sit on your face and fart or?
nah, it would usually be fucking just because I was small.
Oh yeah,
They would just
break you.
they would just sit on my arms, on my biceps.
Yeah, you're fucked.
And then once they sit on my biceps, it's like weighted. So like now
Yeah.
now I'm sitting there going, well, I can't do anything, and then they're just fucking slapping the shit out of me, and
Yeah.
you just take it. You know,
Take it. You gotta take it.
I knew I'd do the same if I had a little brother. You know, and but then me and my brothers, we didn't really have TV growing up. Like, we didn't really go out. Like, every day we just play footy. You know, so like that's all we did. So like cracking jokes. You know.
When did you realize? Oh shit! I think this is a thing. I like this.
I remember.
I like this buzz.
I would have been like 15, and my school had a variety show, and I remember because I used to get fucking bullied hard in school. Like when I moved from.
I wonder why, man.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Well, when I moved in Sydney, the good thing about Sydney was everybody was poor, so you can't bully someone for having holes in their volleys when you have them. You know.
Yeah. So describe the part of Sydney you were from, because Sydney is.
Well, I lived in Campbelltown,
Right.
which is like.
Is that the dregs?
Yeah, I lived in
Sydney's
Aids, Campbelltown. Aids is like the Bronx of
Yeah,
Campbelltown.
You're away from the beach, right?
Yeah, it's just all
Right.
like poor, smashed up suburbs, all housing commission. It's like you don't go. I remember.
There's a famous writer that said God made the harbour, but the devil made Sydney.
Really, that wouldn't surprise me. That guy definitely lived in Bradbury, and but I remember. Funny story. When we first moved to Aids in Campbelltown, me, my dad, and my brother Nathan, we pulled in to the house, and so we were going to stay there for a couple of nights, set it up, and then the rest of the family were going to come. And when we pulled into the house, we get out of the car, and then all of a sudden, like 7 police vans come driving up the driveway, up the road into the cul-de-sac, and they pull out in front of a house.
This is where you're just moving into the street.
This was the day we were taking boxes out of the car.
So
and
this is the start of a Neighbours episode. I'd
Yeah.
like to see. Like Neighbours is finishing. Let's relaunch it.
Yeah,
With
but
a
like-
realistic element.
Well, see, funny, you remember the show Housos?
Yeah.
That was filmed in my suburb.
Right.
I remember I watched that movie in
Okay.
Victoria
I know
with
where
my
you're from.
mates, and there's a scene where Frankie, whatever, is running through a park, and you see like
Paulie with the hat on.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you see like an alleyway and at least like a cul-de-sac. It's like my auntie lives
Wow.
on that cul-de-sac.
Okay,
and I was
so he
just-
crushed it. He
Yeah.
nailed it.
And so these cars, they pull up in front of his house, and they drag a dude, like a massive like Pacific Islander dude. It took like so many of them to drag him out.
You have to take a lot of cop cars to that
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. It's like one dude's not doing it, you know.
Yeah, especially if he's burning the glass barbecue.
Yeah.
He's in Hulk mode.
And
It's
it turns out that
unstoppable.
guy just like just stabbed someone in his house. Someone came over. There was an argument. He stabbed him, and then the cops all rocked up. And I looked at that. We didn't know what happened, and we just seen like him get dragged out. And we looked at our dad, and Dad's like, "Well, home sweet home, I guess. We're just gonna be here." And then we just knew it was gonna be rough.
I saw this joke on Richard Pryor where he's doing stand-up and he visits a jail
Yeah.
and he chats to all these inmates and then he goes, "Thank God we've got penitentiaries." Because he goes, "I was chatting to this big black islander guy
Yeah.
and he said to him, 'Why'd you kill everyone in the house?' And the guy goes, "'Cause they was home." And I was like thinking of that guy.
That's great.
Yeah.
I remember when I studied legal studies in high school, we went to like a prison, and we spoke with like some of the prisoners, and they were telling
Who
stories.
fucking does that school trip? That's it's
Yeah,
enormous.
this is Gippsland, man. They don't give a fuck.
Holy shit.
It's more of a scare tactic than
We went
anything.
to a cheese factory for fuck's sake. You went to a joint?
And we sat in like a room with like the safest inmates, and even they're telling a story, and like everyone in my class is shitting themselves. I'm like, this is sick. Like, I don't know why.
What were these inmates in for? Like the hardest thing they had done that you were exposed to?
One of them was just like,
Armed robbery or something?
yeah, just well, 2 of them were armed robbery. One was sexual assault, and I was like, yeah, put him next to year 11
Jesus
schoolgirls. That's
Christ.
fucking genius.
Yeah, I know.
And then most of them are just like fucking like attempted manslaughter and shit like that.
Attempted manslaughter. Or no, attempted murder.
Attempted murder, manslaughter.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like
Yes.
we just listen to them tell stories about what it's like.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm never gonna be in here. I don't know why you're telling me. But because like we went in to learn about the system and whatever, and
Well,
then
that's the demographic you were living in.
yeah,
So they go, we got to get these kids exposed to criminals so criminals
Yeah.
can say to them, you don't want this.
you on
Because it's a career path in your
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah,
It's
it
an
is.
option.
It's like you go to Warrigal TAFE and it's just like
Yeah.
a course and it's just like armed robbery.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fucking so when we moved from Sydney, well from Campbelltown to
What made you uproot and come to Melbourne?
my uncle passed away. So my uncle took his own life and so my dad had no family but in Sydney.
So this is your dad's
My dad's brother. So his business partner.
in the hobby shop.
Yeah.
Did he kill himself because of the hours he was doing at a hobby
No,
shop? No, I'm joking.
he's like man,
Just toy trains going.
man, 7 p.m. at
Can't
Liverpool
handle this.
markets is killing me. But
Sorry, I'm fucking making a joke about
That's
suicide.
fine.
Yeah.
And,
And you're a dark cunt as well on stage.
yeah, so he killed himself. So dad was like, I want to be closer to his old man because he had
And
no
he was
family
down here.
and he was in Pakenham. So he moved. So we went from being poor to living in the country, which is relatively fine, but we were still kind of poor because we kind of escaped. So we didn't really have much money. And so instantly, as soon as I started going to school, we were just people can sense that stuff. They can sense, like, they can see you wearing like a long sleeve shirt when there's no long sleeve shirt in the school uniform curriculum, and they just instantly go, this guy's poor, he's new. And I mean, yeah, so I just got bullied every day. And then in year 9, I seen like a variety show and I signed up and I was like, I don't know why I signed up. I don't have any talent.
Can I ask you, just before you get to that, how did you turn the bullying around?
Well, that's why. I was like, they
Was
can't bully me if I bully myself. And so I got on stage.
Was that your strategy?
Yeah, so I got on stage and
Mine
told
was
jokes.
in-
And they
mine
were
was
like,
in-
what the fuck?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. I was just
That's
going to
fine.
say I had a similar situation, but I turned it. I could do impressions, so
Yeah.
I started doing impressions
Of them?
of just famous people.
Oh,
like-
right. I
like
was going to say, if you
Arnie
did
and-
impressions of them, they'd kick the shit out of you.
Well,
even more.
I did the teachers,
Yeah, right.
so that got me off the hook. So did you enter the variety show going, if I take the piss out of myself, there's nothing left for them to pick bones at?
100%. So I
Right.
got up there on stage and I was just made jokes about how skinny I was and whatever. And just told other jokes that I spent like weeks writing.
So your first gig was 15?
Yeah.
Mine was 16 in my garage to my neighbours.
To your neighbours.
Yeah, so you beat me by a year.
Yeah, well.
But then I didn't gig for another 10 years or something.
Yeah, well, get good. No, yeah, so I did it when I was 15. And then
How'd you go down your first ever gig?
it was fun. I had a good time. I mean, being a 15-year-old doing comedy, the crowd.
Well, yeah.
I actually wore a suit. So
Got any photos?
I can find it.
It'd be fucking funny,
And
man. Put on a festival show
yeah,
with that poster.
with that poster.
Yeah, crushing it.
So I wore my brother's suit jacket to try and be Seinfeld, and the suit jacket's massive on me, and it's so baggy, and you just see me. I had like long scraggy hair with a suit jacket. I was like, this is great. I thought I looked like a king, and then I got out there, and then I'm just talking about how skinny I am, and they can see how skinny I am because the jacket's like
Hanging over.
flapping. And then I did comedy. It was like 2 nights. It's like a Friday and then a Saturday, and I won the overall. And then after that,
Any stiff competition, or were they all fucking
I mean-
stupid?
we were all like 15, 16.
Yeah, but still, I'm sure you
Yeah.
have been looking at the other acts going, die, bitch,
Yeah.
die.
Well, I remember not that one, but then I went back in year 11 and did it again. So my school, they would have every first year was a talent show and every second year was a musical. And so then in year 11 I went back and they did a one night only. And I remember I did that and I beat like the school captain who was singing. She did like a theatrical song.
Must have been boring.
Yeah, what
as
a
batshit.
loser.
I'm picturing Reese Witherspoon.
No, she was a big girl, just like trying to use that.
All right, Rebel Wilson
yeah.
before Rootable.
And then fucking there was this one girl named Jess, and she was in my chemistry class, year 11 chem, and she did a monologue from some play that no one's ever watched and no one gave a shit about. It was boring as shit. She just did a one-person monologue to the crowd who were not caring at all. And she had just followed the drum crew, the school drum crew, which was sick. Like, they just did, like drums with brooms and whatever. And it was pretty sick. And then she got up and did, like, a monologue and just bored the entire crowd.
Did she get heckled?
Nah.
It's easy crowd.
It'd be pretty funny if they did heckle her. And then I got on 2 acts later, and I did, like, 5 minutes of... I remember my first joke was... that I was allergic to ginger and nuts. And so I've got the constant fear of the gingerbread man and being teabagged by Ron Weasley. And when I said that, the crowd went nuts. And I was like, I've got this. And I just made jokes about, like, it was the FIFA World Cup at the time, so I made jokes about Luis Suarez who just bit somebody.
Yeah.
I made jokes about that. And I had a fun time up there. And then...
Is this 2010?
No, so year 11, so it would have been 2014.
Right, fuck.
And then I remember after my set... I went back and I put my bag on because I was like the second last person to perform, and I was waiting to leave, and then they announced the winner and it was me, and then my friend who was in the drum crew grabbed me and like threw me onto the stage and was like, get in there, and they gave me like $100 FPOS card, and like, this guy is the winner of the 2014 variety show. And then my dad picked me up from the school. He didn't come watch. My dad picked me up. And
yeah, because he was afraid of that. He got wind of that monologue that was happening. He's like, I've got to avoid that.
Yeah, he's like, fucking, I'm not getting a load of Audi, Jimmy, Camille. And then he rocks up, and I just gave him the $100 gift card. I was like, use this for like bread and milk and whatever. And then, then after high school, I just kept going, just kept doing comedy. But I remember in year 11, so I was bullied up until then. And then in year 11, when I did that, I never got bullied.
Again.
Ever. Because everyone's like, this guy's funny. And then I went from being the kid who was bullied to the kid who was like, well, now I've got to keep this up. Everyone's expecting me to be the funny guy now. Because everyone would come up like, we never knew you were fucking funny. And then, so like in school, I remember I got kicked out of my history class. So like me and my 2 best mates were in the same history class together. And we got kicked out like over and over and over. We just got kicked out non-stop. And because I'd just be cracking jokes to piss off the teacher, and she hated it.
Yeah.
And so then, I just was always just being the class clown throughout all of high school, and then even year 12. And then I was playing footy at the time, so like I'd be the one on the footy field because I can't tackle anybody.
Were you sledging?
I was sledging. Even when I'd look at a guy who was meant to be on me, like guarding me, because I played in the forward pack, and so I'd be on there. I was like, I can do shit. The fuck are you going to do? And I would just sit there, and while we're sitting there waiting, because our team sucked, the ball never came their end. So I'd just be sitting there talking shit to the other players in the forward pack and their defense, and just crack jokes just to distract them. So that way they're laughing, and then they go, oh shit, and then they go get the ball. So I just took up this persona of the funny guy, and then after high school, did it, and then here we are.
Yeah, so you got a taste. Fast forward a few years, you got a taste of Channel 10. I think it was. I think I was overseas when this was unfolding. I was working in London, but you were on. What's the show?
Oh, AGT.
Yeah, Australia's Got Talent.
Yeah, on Channel 7.
7. All right, sorry. And you were doing stand up.
Yeah.
What was that experience like in terms of artistic freedom? Because as comedians, we can go anywhere we want.
And on
TV, I'm assuming it's everything is cross-checked and you submit your material.
Yeah.
They proof it.
So the audition, you don't have to.
Yeah, you can go for it.
I just signed up and just rocked up. And so the audition, you just rock up at like 10 a.m. and then you just wait.
How long did you wait?
I got on at 11 p.m.
So you waited from 10
I got there at 9:45 and I got on at 11 p.m.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was there with my dad and my brother. It was my brother's birthday. And he's like, I'll come spend it with you. I was like, that's your fucking birthday. Go out, go for lunch, hang out with your mates. Don't come here. He's like, nah, I'll come hang out. And
so you waited for 11 hours to get a spot?
For 11 hours, just to jump up for 3 minutes. And then the audition was fun because they didn't expect, no one in the crowd or the judges expected me to do comedy. I just walked out, told jokes. It was fun.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the semi-finals, you have to send them a script.
Yeah.
And once you send them a script, they go, can you do this joke, followed by this joke, followed by that joke? I was like, well, that's not going to work.
They structure your material?
Well, they tried to. They said to do this, followed by this, followed by this. And I was like, that doesn't work.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the conductor.
Well, I said to him, I was like,
material.
if there's anyone who knows about my dad bashing cunts in Centrelink, it's me. I know these jokes. That's not going
Yeah.
to work with that one. And then they're like, we had a comedy writer look over it, and he reckons if you do it in this order. And I was like, fine. But then when I got on stage,
Who was the comedy
they
writer?
didn't tell me. It was some old cunt just at the back of the room. And
These fucking assholes trying to tell you how to do
yeah,
a
some
set.
fucking four-eyed fuck was like,
Welcome to TV, bitch.
yeah, he's like, this joke works. I was like, no, it doesn't.
Fuck you, dude.
But then when I got up on
I would ask for the comedy writer's name, man. I'm like, who is
who's this hack?
telling me how
trying
to
to
do
steal my jokes?
material? Yeah.
But he's probably got the script still,
Yeah.
waiting. And so he told me to do those jokes. But then when I got on stage and they were filming,
You did it your way.
I did it my way.
Interesting.
And that
So you
fucking
lied.
pissed them off
It
so much.
would.
They
Absolutely.
got so angry.
Because they're there to make
Yeah.
sure that you behave.
And I fucking riffed. I crowd worked. Well, not crowd. I like spoke to people in the crowd. I riffed. They cut out an entire riff. So they cut out a part at the end. So, because one of the judges was like, she's like, you seemed a bit nervous at the start, but then you picked up very quickly. I was like, yeah, I was nervous. But then some dipshit yelled something out mid-set. So I was like, if he has the confidence to yell, then I'll have the confidence to finish my set.
Yeah.
And the crowd laughed, but they cut that out. They cut out like half my joke, and then they cut out a whole joke because it wasn't in the script. So I did this bit. It was working really well, and it was about my dad, and like how like I paid like the rent. Like I pay rents. Like it was just basically saying like I'm the dad, and I did it, and it got a good laugh. But they cut it out because it wasn't in the script. So they got me good because they would like, well, if you're gonna not follow the script, we'll cut the shit out of it. And then they just completely
make you look stupid.
Yeah, they fucking. And then now I can never watch that set just because I know it's too edited, it's too formatted.
Yeah. Does it make sense the
No.
set as much as you cringe watching it? Does it make sense?
No,
Really?
because they cut out half of a joke.
Oh God.
So then it's like when my Centrelink joke.
That's how you'll be remembered.
Yeah,
They're gonna play that.
they're just gonna replay half a joke. It's not even the bet. They cut out the second half of it where the punchline is. It's like the joke ends on a tag, and then they cut out the whole bit about like where my dad actually like punched somebody in Centrelink.
Yeah.
And they cut that out for time, and I was like, well, you've just cut the punchline.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what was your experience over there? Did you enjoy going back to the stage and back to stand-up comedy and love it more so than ever before because you could just do whatever you wanted there? Like, you took that for granted in a way?
Yeah. You know, it's funny.
Because that was my experience. Coming from radio,
Yeah.
I did radio for about 5 years, and I wasn't policed as much as you were on television, but I certainly was policed to a degree in terms of what I couldn't say. So I loved going back to stage, and that's when I realized I just want to do stand-up because that's where I'm completely free to say whatever I want.
Yeah. I think with this, I just didn't give a shit. I was just doing it just because I knew it'll sell tickets. You know, people will come see shows if I'm on TV. But
did it work?
For a brief moment. The thing is, it went on TV in August, September 2019, but then COVID hit like 2 months later.
Yeah, sure.
So I had all this momentum.
Yeah.
Like I sold out all 6 nights at the Melbourne Fringe, and then I was selling tickets for the Comedy Fest in 2020.
Yeah, then you lost.
And
your
then
wind.
all that momentum, I was doing the store, I was
Dead in the
doing all
water.
this, and then all of a sudden, I came back from the store in February, and then 2 weeks later, the comedy festival was cancelled. So I had all this momentum going into the festival.
That's fucked.
And then it just hits you like a wall.
Yeah.
And then we were in lockdown for 8 months.
Yeah.
And so, but then thankfully I had a good run last year's festival. But yeah, when you have all this momentum, and then, but I mean everybody had momentum, you know. I'm not saying that like I was the only one who was hit with a wall.
No, but this is your personal
But yeah,
experience. This is why I'm talking
But
to you.
I was feeling good about comedy after I did this show because people were like, "Oh shit, this guy, who's like." I remember I got a text from Dave O'Neill after I did AGT. So he was at a gig with another comic, and he said to that comic, "Who was that guy that did comedy on AGT?" does he do like it regularly in Melbourne? And they were like, yeah, he's great. And then he's like, give him my number. And then no, he's like, give me his number. And then he sent me a text. Dave O'Neill sent me a text. He's like, would you like to come do the Fairfield Funhouse? And then I was like, yeah, sick. And then so like all these people were reaching out, and I was doing shows, and then like the Melbourne Fringe sold out, and I was actually comedy was looking good, and then we got hit with a pandemic. So, but I remember when I did the show, I was still gigging when I was working on the show, and I kind of pissed him off because on the night of the semi-final, I was originally booked at the store, and the store is at Fox Studios, and so was AGT. So I was on late in the semi-final, so I ran next door and performed at the store. So I ran up, did my spot at the store, still wearing like the clothes they gave me for AGT, had like the makeup on, and then I ran back, and then went back into the full scripted, you gotta follow this, all that stuff. So like I was kind of still had one foot in the door. That's comedy, that's real comedy, rather than coming back and they're like, all right, back to the script, back to the the schedule. So
did they crack it that you did that other spot
at the store?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't like that.
Well, fuck him. That's called you doubled in one night. That's good.
Well, I said,
how many times have you spoken to comic? Oh, I doubled tonight. You doubled.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, I didn't know I was going to get to the semi-final, and so I booked this run. I booked the run at the store, and then it was out of pure convenience that the semi-final was on the Saturday of the week that I was doing the store. So I was like, well, I'm already in town. I'm already doing the store Wednesday to Saturday. And they're like, well, can you do it just Wednesday to Friday? And I was like, yeah. But then on Saturday, I bolted, did the store, came back, and they were like, where were you? And I was like, I was next door. I just dropped into a spot. And they're like, don't do that.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I got to get paid, like I got to work.
Yeah. You strike me as someone that will, correct me if I'm wrong, but you just strike me as someone that's going to be in stand-up for a very, very fucking long time. Maybe even till the end. Like, I don't see you...
Quitting.
I think it's part of you. I just get this feeling.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
I mean, I'd love to.
Well, what's going to stop? What else are you going to fucking do, Gavin?
Yeah.
What else am I going to do?
I think it's because...
we've come too far now.
We've committed.
Yeah, what else we got?
I mean...
we're shit at everything. I'm shit at everything else.
Yeah. I tried sport.
Clearly.
Sport didn't work. I tried uni. That didn't work.
What'd you do at uni?
I was studying law. I was in law school.
Oh,
and then I dropped out in my second year to do comedy.
Just the reading.
It was, and I was good at it. But then I was like, this is boring.
It's boring, yeah.
And I was doing gigs at the same time. Like, I started comedy at the same time I started uni. And then I was like, fucking uni sucks, dude. And then went straight into comedy. So like I won't ever go back to uni, and I won't study again, and I probably won't do like.
I think I prefer the fact that you didn't get your law degree, then become a comedian.
That I didn't get it.
Yeah, because you're a comedian before your law degree.
Yeah.
So you're kind of you're more raw on stage. You're more darker. You're more. You just let things fly.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if you had successfully completed a law degree,
I'd be boring.
You might have due diligence, due process, check your material, recheck it before you open your mouth, and you may lose that spark that I enjoy watching comics.
Well, I don't even write, so like I reckon if I did stay in law school, that would have been something different. I would have been.
Well, now you're leading me to my next question that I wanted to ask you. You say you don't write.
No.
That doesn't freak me out because if you, my room, behind you there's a whiteboard and there's fucking shit all over the ground. They're just dot points. Is that what you do? Do you dot point?
Yeah, so if I think of something funny, I write a couple of words in my phone.
Yeah, same here.
And when I'm walking home,
I
talk it out loud.
Yeah, I sometimes put in my earphones.
So people think you're talking to... Yes,
and
I do that all the time. I'll be walking... I did 2 days ago. I was walking from Southern Cross to the tram stop, and I was going over a joke before the gig.
Same here.
And people are like, he's just on the phone.
It's the best way because I lose energy in the transition from the mind to the pen.
Yeah.
I lose something.
Yeah.
Whereas talking it out,
I have to. Because I've tried to sit down and write, but then I was like, it just comes off, in my opinion, hacky. Like my jokes, it's like it feels forced. I'm trying to find punchlines, forcing it, and trying to write punchlines. I'm writing punchlines rather than finding punchlines. Whereas I feel if I'm walking home or if I'm in the shower and I'm just going over something funny that happened, like I'll give you an example. Like my brother met Dan Andrews like 3 days ago and told us this story about how he yelled out, "Can I make you a Whopper?" And I was like, that's the most autistic thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, what's this context? Does your brother work in a Hungry Jack's?
So my brother works at Hungry Jack's.
And was Dan Andrews in a Hungry Jack's?
Was
he at a Chris Myers gig? Was he on?
He was the headliner at Chris Myers. It finally happened. And so my brother works at the Hungry Jack's on a servo, and he was dropping in to the servo. And my brother was getting his energy drinks. And my brother...
Did he crack it at the petrol prices?
He didn't fucking have to pay for it. So
True.
And... So my brother sees him in the servo and yells out, "Can I make you a Whopper?"
Jesus, you retard.
Yeah.
Is that the best he could do?
That's exact. And you know what Dan said?
He goes, "Well, I did Victoria a Whopper."
And Dan said, "Yeah, okay." And they went in and he made him pay for a Whopper. Firefighters don't even pay for Hungry Jack's in Gippsland.
You'd have to charge him.
And he charged him.
He's a politician.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
And he made him pay for it. And then he sent like a photo of it in the group chat. And he was telling us there's all these things that happen. And so, like, then I was...
did your brother make the shit out of the Whopper, or did he...
No, he made it to perfection.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to make the best fucking Whopper Dan Andrews has ever had.
And did Dan Andrews look up and go, the burgers are better?
These are the best burgers. But
make no mistake.
But so, like, when he told me that, I was like, that's fucking funny. Like, you are... Because my brother has autism. So I was like, this is the most autistic thing. Like, you Forrest Gumped Dan Andrews into a Whopper.
Yeah.
And then I was walking home, and I was just, like, brainstorming the idea, But I feel like if I tried to sit down and write it, I'm like, it'd be too forced. Whereas if I could just get on stage, I'm like, man, you know what my brother did recently? This fucking idiot. And then just tell the story about how he made... the most perfect Whopper. He's SpongeBob's Dan Andrews.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I can't write. It's just all dot points.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I wanted to ask you that because I was like, we went off on a tangent. And I was like, oh, how does he write? I'm interested. But yeah, you strike me as someone that would talk it out because you're always turning over material.
Yeah, as in like churning it.
Yeah, you're always doing something different.
Yeah, and I think it helps because, like, when you're doing jokes that you haven't written, but it's all in your head, when you're on stage, you just keep adapting it. Like I'll have like a bit that I started, and then because it's not written down, it's like able to be adapted on stage, and like if I riff something, my mind just puts it directly into the joke, and then I was like, well, because I'll audio record it, and then I'll go home like, all right, well that's now part of the joke. Whereas if it's written down, you're like, oh, well, this punchline didn't work. What the hell did I do wrong here? Whereas I'm just like, everything's open to be.
Do you record?
Yeah.
Yeah, and listen back the next day or
wherever. So I listen back and be like,
oh shit.
Yeah. Well,
everyone hates their own.
I hate my own voice.
So do I, my friend.
Yeah, it's the worst.
I loathe it. I'm like, I hate it so much. I'm like, why would anyone want to pay to see this?
Yeah. And then like if a joke's consistently not working, but you need to listen to it to try and get it good. And so you have to keep hearing your voice over and over with the same jokes. And you're like, oh, just fucking
Do you listen to deaths as well?
No.
I listen to deaths.
Only if that joke's done well in the past. So, like, I listen to what tag didn't go well.
Yeah, why it failed.
Yeah, so if I know that joke goes well and it doesn't one night, I'll listen to which tag didn't go well. And then be like, then I'll listen back to ones where it did go well and see if it's a big laugh or a mediocre laugh. If it's a mediocre laugh, I'll just scrap that tag. But it's a big laugh, I'll be like, well, that's just a one-off gig.
Are you a psycho, or do you genuinely sometimes believe that it can be the audience that are just not on?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I used to hate it.
I mean, we've all blamed the audience.
But I think you can. There are moments, like, if...
I mean, it depends. It depends on the gig.
If you're the 30th act, and it's, like, pushing 11 p.m. and
yeah, I think it all depends on the context of the gig.
No one gives a fuck anymore.
Like, if I'm jumping up at King's or the Lounge and I bomb, and I'm like, it's the audience.
God, knock on wood. If that ever happens, we're fucked.
Yeah.
It's all over.
If I go, you guys are just a terrible audience, I'm they'd take me out the back.
They would, yeah.
And whereas if I'm doing an open mic, and the crowd's not even giving a shit about the gig,
yeah,
and I'm like, yeah, this is the audience for
because
sure.
some people are purists and they're like, I refuse to blame the crowd, and I'm like, fuck, man.
You have to sometimes.
Sometimes you
have to.
It's not you.
But also, you're doing a gig where people don't know a comedy's going to happen. And then you're like...
Ta-da! That's the worst. Like Hungry Jack's.
Like Hungry Jack's.
Did that go ahead?
No.
It probably isn't.
It never was approved.
Yeah.
It never got approved.
They can't, dude.
It's
a family restaurant. They can't have you up there slagging Ronald and saying, God knows what you're going to say next.
Well, like any... The thing is, what's crazy about it is he was expecting people were going to come watch a show, but it's like people are only there for like as long as they eat. And then another family would come in. Then you got a homeless junkie walking around the tables asking for coins. And you're getting heckled by fucking some cunt with a beanie. And he walks up to you on stage, and now you've got this fucking... And then he's going to want the mic, obviously, because he's got the attention from asking for the money.
Thank fuck he didn't get that Hungry Jack's gig, because then he would have put gigs elsewhere.
Yeah, well,
weird spot,
what he'll do is he'll do the Hungry Jacks
with squidgies,
and then he'll go past Macca's on Elizabeth Street where it says 100 seats, and well, that's 100 seats I can sell, and then
ding,
just
ding,
do
ding,
that.
ding, ding,
yeah,
ding.
and he's like, then we're taking Red Rooster, we're taking the whole city. But yeah, I don't think it will never go ahead. He'll probably just stick to his bowling alley gigs.
Are they good?
No.
There's a lot of bad gigs. I'm talking about London as well. When I was there for 10 years.
I mean, you got to do them.
You got to do them.
Yeah, I mean, I would never say no to a
it.
bowling alley gig just because, like, it's stage time, and then something's going to happen.
Have you ever lined up a setup to the strike of the pins on the punchline?
No, but Dan Rosario was on, and when he hit a punchline, someone hit a...
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it was perfect. It was perfect timing because he was like...
That's what I would love.
As soon as he said a joke...
That's a show reel.
Yeah, as soon as he said it, you just heard the pins, and then he's like, what? And the crowd will laugh, and they were on board with it.
Yeah, Dan's got a funny laugh.
Yeah.
Something happens to his jaw. I don't know. You can't put a dick in there. It's just seizes up. But yeah, he's funny.
Yeah, he's a character.
It's good. There's a lot of good acts coming up.
There is, man.
But there's also a lot of shit. But that's part and parcel.
Well, I think
that's the way
COVID didn't help because a lot of people sat in lockdown were like, I'm going to give stand-up a go.
You Zoomed a lot. You were Zoom active,
The
weren't
first lockdown I didn't. 2020 I did. 2021 I didn't. I did
you
like
get much out of that?
Well, see, I treated 2020 Zoom gigs I didn't do it for laughs. I did it to write. So like, because I was coming up with jokes over and over and over. Because I would do Paula's one every Monday. So I tried to have a different 5 every Monday. That was my thing. I was like, I'll have a different 5 minutes every Monday to do Paula's. And I treated Zoom gigs like an sign-up open mic. I was like, this is going to be bad. But if I can rehearse the jokes and structure them, and then when I get to do a proper gig or a Zoom gig that had punters, and then now I've got a structured set, now I just got to find out if it's funny. Because if I'm doing the gigs trying to talk shit in a Zoom gig, and then we get out of lockdown, and I noticed when I got out of lockdown, I was doing jokes that felt like people were coming up to me going, like, Gary Jahal was like, dude, your set was killer. I was like, it's because I sat down and I was doing 4 or 5 gigs a week on Zoom, just practicing these jokes over and over.
That's good, yeah.
So then they came off polished 4 months later, rather than writing jokes in lockdown and then never doing them and then coming out and then you'd get on an open mic and you'd do dirty secrets and you're like, this joke's fucking bombing. And it's like, well, it's because you never practiced it.
Yeah.
That joke would be great in like a month, whereas my joke wasn't great on the first Zoom gig, but then after doing it for, months on Zoom, I structured it and then it was ready for when lockdown ended.
A couple questions before I wrap up, man, because we've got to go to a gig. Where do you want to go? Do you have an end goal with stand-up? Or do you know what you want?
I want to go to the States. I reckon the States will be sick. So many times I've been like, you see comedy in the States, they're like way better than Melbourne. So I feel like if the only way to improve would be America or overseas, because like Australia, you're always going to stay as flat as everyone else. Like, you're not going to peak as much as you would if you go overseas.
Just from turning over 6 or 7 gigs a night
Yeah, I feel like if you go to America
in front of proper crowds.
Yeah, if you go to America and do a gig, and you see a lot of comedians in Melbourne who go to America for like a month or two and come back and they're better. They're better. They've found their punchlines that they didn't find living in Melbourne. So I feel like living in America, or even just going there for like 6 months every couple of years, and then you just work and just grind there. I feel like grinding in America and then try and make a break there would be better than just doing the same rooms in Melbourne over and over. Like, I feel like if I'm in 5 years from now, if I'm still messaging the same room runners, be like, hey, can I do that? And I look at comedians and I was like, that can't be. You can't find that happy. I don't know why people would want to be still doing the same rooms and just performing to their friends.
Well, I think for me on this side of the equation, there's no other rooms, and I think in 5 years I'd wish my material is deeper and better and less obvious.
But also people like yourself, you do it for like you do corporates and you do footy club gigs and all that. But I'm talking about like just doing it in Melbourne. If you're just based in Melbourne, I find that not educating. I find you're not going to learn. You're not gonna master the craft if you're performing to the same, and also Melbourne being the same type of crowd. Melbourne's not going to change in the next 5 years. It's going to be the same based city where everyone's still the same. Everyone all thinks the same. So I feel like going to America or somewhere where even the UK where they're more.
Well, I was in the UK for 10 years, and only because I found it. I tried New York for 6 months, but it was more of a. New York was difficult. It was.
But you learn.
You're either someone or you're not.
Yeah.
And if you're not, it's hellish open mic scene
for sure.
in New York. So then I came back and I was a bit heartbroken, and then I spoke to a comedian called Brendan Burns.
Yeah.
And he said, you got to go to London.
Yeah.
Just have 2 different 10-minute spots.
Yeah.
Every spot there paid is a 20.
Yeah.
So I went over there, did 2 10s, auditioned, got in, and started doing paid 20s in front of proper audience.
Yeah. That's how you learn. You're not going to learn.
Yeah.
Here
and
in
you learn from the variety. Like you're doing like a Bucks party on a Saturday night, and then the next night you're in a theater on a Sunday night, and everyone's older and it's refined.
Yeah. See, that's sick. I'd like to go overseas and where people don't know who you are. And they're like, who's this Australian guy coming over here? And then you just start from scratch.
Yeah.
Build.
You should look at London.
Yeah.
If you got time. I mean, you've got time. How old are you? 24?
24.
24,
Well, the thing is, and what's crazy is in 3 years from now, I'll be 10 years into comedy at the age of 28. So, like,
you won't stop until you knock on wood, fucking late 60s.
Yeah.
If you don't go bananas.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't want to be in Melbourne in the next 5 years. I want to be overseas.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to grow in Melbourne. Nowhere.
Yeah.
There's no clicks in the upper stands. If you find a name overseas or whether it's the UK or America, that I'd prefer building a name in the UK than just doing free comedy in Melbourne.
Sure.
For sure.
We got to wrap this up because I've got to get to a gig. But tell me what you're doing over the festival.
I'm doing a solo. So I've got my show, which is called Still Got It. Still Got It ? Not to be confused with Mike Goldstein's Still Got It ! The festival love, not telling us till last minute. So I'm
Did they point that out at the very last second?
Well, I pointed out to Mike.
Right.
I was like, the hell did Susan do wrong? Like, and I sent him a photo of both our posters, and he's like, oh boy. And I was like, if anyone, I doubt it's going to be a problem, but if it is, I'll just divert people to you, and you do the same. But yeah, so my show is called Still Got It. It's at the Bards. I can never pronounce the name. It's Bards of Paffetry or something like that. It's on Burke Street. It's across the road from Spleen Bar. So.
Oh yeah.
It's there from the 30th to the 9th, 8 p.m. First 10 nights of the festival. So I'm doing that, and then I'll run Laughs at Lantern for the last 2 weeks.
Is that on a Sunday?
No, every night. So,
Every night?
So like we did
Nice.
last year with
Like
Logan.
a showcase?
A showcase.
Oh, I'll
so,
be down for that.
Yeah, so we're
That'll
running
be
a
fun.
showcase. So that's every night for the second half, so the last 2 weeks, but also, once again, no Sundays. And then, yeah, so those are my 2 shows. If people, I mean, the showcases sell. If I can get people into my solo, and otherwise I'm booking a one-way trip to Ukraine. That's what I'm doing. If I don't,
Shut the fuck up.
if I don't sell,
You'll get there and they'll be like, my God, the Russians have starved them.
yeah,
I'm like, I'm going in.
yeah, they're like, he's escaped.
Thanks for coming in, man. Much appreciated. You're a
No,
great comic.
thanks
Love
for
having
having
you
me,
on.
man.
Thanks.